we're ready to go. Here it is, night 3. That's 3 in a row of the 31 streams of horror. 31-ish streams of horror. I don't want to say 31 because then that puts me in a box where if I don't do one, I have to feel bad about it. But tonight, I'm going to be looking at a game that's actually maybe a little bit scary. It's certainly more scary than Castlevania Circle of the Moon. As you can see below me and beside me, this way. I'm gonna play a little bit of Parasite Eve, which was a SquareSoft game that came out in 1998. 1998 was the hot time for SquareSoft and SquareSoft RPGs in particular. Talking like post Final Fantasy VII. During this like 3 or 4 year period is like Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy VIII, Xenogears, Parasite Eve, Final Fantasy Tactics. What else? There's some other stuff. Vagrant Story, Chrono Cross. Obviously all those classic and not so classic PlayStation 1 RPGs that they put out. I picked this game up partially because I was infatuated with anything with pre-rendered backgrounds was really big in 1998, and so I was way into that, and I liked Square RPGs because Final Fantasy VII was the thing that brought me to the PlayStation in the first place. And so this game sort of promised to be a weird hybrid of horror, survival horror, and RPG mechanics. And it also came with a demo that had Brave Fencer Musashi in it, which was a game I was really interested in. And I'm trying to think what else was there. Or no, it was a playable Xenogears demo, and then there was a watchable Brave Fencer Musashi demo. I think that's what it was. I don't know, because Xenogears came out a couple months after this, and I think Brave Fencer Musashi. I think this came out in September. Brave Fencer Musashi came out in October, and then Xenogears came out towards the end of the year. I don't know. I might have that timeline screwed up. I'm just kind of doing it from memory. But so I don't know a ton about this game. I know that Sakaguchi, who is the person famous for creating and designing the Final Fantasy series, was like the producer. I know that this is based on a Japanese horror novel. I definitely would have read it at the time if that had been an option. But as far as I can tell, I don't think that the novel had been translated into English at that time, so that was just not something that I was able to do. Also, my controller ain't working, so let me reboot this emulator real quick. Really quit? Yes, I really want to quit. We'll be right back. So what was I saying? So yeah, I didn't get to read the novel. This game is a sequel, I believe, to the horror novel. And then there's a Parasite Eve 2, and then there was a PSP game called The Third Birthday, I think. I never played that either. Got kind of mixed reviews. This game kind of got lost in the shuffle for me when it first came out. Because I was still sort of catching up on all the RPGs. Like I was in the midst of RPG fever at that time. And since I didn't get a PlayStation until Final Fantasy came out, or it was a little after Final Fantasy came out, it was Christmas '97. So I was still catching up on a bunch of games that I'd missed. Some games that were arguably better than Parasite Eve, like Suikoden 1. Some games that were definitely inferior to Parasite Eve in hindsight, like Wild Arms and Star Ocean 2. But I played so many bad RPGs during that period. Let's start a new game. That a lot of them sort of blend together. And so I kind of missed this game when it first came out. I played the Xenogears demo. That was way more up my alley, more traditional sort of RPG. And this kind of failed to hit just because the hybrid of RPG stuff and pardon me, the hybrid of RPG stuff and survival horror tank controls just didn't really hit for me. It didn't make sense for me when I first started playing it, and then I came back to it like 6 to 8 months later, or probably actually close to a year later, probably around Halloween time in 1999, and then that was when it finally clicked and made sense. And then I, of course, haven't played it since then, so I don't remember a ton of what happens in this game. I remember that there are evil mitochondria, or at least there's an opera singer that turns your mitochondria evil and makes them mutate you into weird things. Although, looking at these super high resolution models over these these old static pre-rendered backgrounds, these poor humans have already been exposed to a bunch of radiations and have a bunch of weird mutations. Aya's face is a total fucking mess, and her left foot is just missing. There's a gap between her foot and her shoe, and the doorman on the right over there has got some really wild blurring effect problems going on. I think we'll just leave her name as Aya. Okay. I do like that they give you her name and then they give you the option to change it, and then they show it again just in case you decide to change it. I don't know. I always have a hard time with PlayStation. I'm playing this on EPSXE, an emulator. I own a physical copy of this game, but it's just way too much of a hassle to get a PlayStation up and running. I don't even know. I still own my PlayStation, but I don't think it works. And my PlayStation 2, I think, is also on the fritz. So, but PlayStation emulation is super weird, especially games with that have feature, pre-rendered backgrounds and polygonal characters. It never looks quite right, and there's nothing you can do to make it look good. Games like Metal Gear Solid or Spyro the Dragon or Crash Bandicoot, those games actually tend to look pretty fucking good. When you boost up the resolution and turn on anti-aliasing and all those kind of fancy effects that you didn't have access to in 1998, like the texture work on the PlayStation was pretty simple, and so those really flat looking polygons up-res and look really sharp and good, but the the super blurry pre-rendered backgrounds with the super sharp character models just looks weird to me. But like I said, your other options are just to make the whole thing look really blurry, or you can try and put some filters over it, but I have not found anything that makes it look right. It just looks wrong no matter what you do, because this is, it was built to be played on a CRT, and if you're not doing it that way, then it just isn't going to look right. It's kind of like Super Nintendo games or Sega Genesis games with pre-rendered sprites. They always look weird when you up-res them because they're meant to be like the blurriness of the TV and the glow of the phosphor sort of covers up some of the rough patches in those bad-looking sprites. And this game is kind of the same thing, I think. Also, the PlayStation has like a weird rounding. I don't know if it was an error or intentional, but the way it draws textures and the way it draws vertices on some of the polygons is just off, which is why you get like those weird swimmy polygons that move around constantly, and the way the textures sort of like bend and stretch in weird ways. That was something that was also smoothed over by the sort of low resolution screens that we were looking at it on. and it's something that is really obvious when you play these games on high resolutions. Like, Eve's face is just wild and out, man. She is boiling. Look at that eye. Also, these pre-rendered character models are something else too. Look at that cleavage. Those are just softballs. And they don't have a bottom, apparently. It's just all on the top. That's like half of a softball. Ah! Those guys just made 3 buckets in a row in NBA Jam. So I neglected to mention this earlier, but one thing I really like in this game, a really nice little touch, is that when you get out of that limo to go on this date with this doofus, Aya is really uncomfortable in this role as like the date and also somebody, that's dressed up. She's a cop, and that's what role she's comfortable in, and so she runs. I didn't mention it when I was playing it, but she has a really awkward run animation, and then after Eve lights the opera house on fire, Aya pulls out her gun, and then the run animation changes, and it's just like this really subtle way of establishing the character that she is. Go get out of here now. That's right, doofus. Oh man, there's no run button. Let's see. I don't think I have. I probably don't start out with anything. Also, this game has a pretty good like weapon mod system, and also really I think that this game does a really good job of portraying gun combat in a turn-based scenario. So we'll see it in just a minute here. But even like later games like Mass Effect did kind of a poor job of sort of communicating how the gunplay worked. Like those games have that game and like the Knights of the Republic and a lot of BioWare stuff with guns, they have dice rolls, but you are also aiming. So when you get a headshot but you don't get a headshot because of a dice roll, it feels really bad. But in this game it's more about range and probability, and it's like very obvious that there is a mechanics happening in the background that determine how you're getting strikes, and it's not necessarily about player skill. It doesn't have that disconnect. So when you get into combat, you have this dome. Different guns have different sized domes, and I think that different guns have more or less accuracy at different ranges. And so I'm just going to put a couple rounds into this actress. My body, what's happening? It's getting hot. Just as I thought. What did you do to me? So this is pretty classic in the way it works, as far as the way that the turns are determined. You have an active time bar that fills up at the top, classic Final Fantasy style. And you do have some control in the game. I actually thought this was tank controls, but it's actually I kind of have direct control over where I is going, which is good. Communicating what? What do you want? The more you use the power, the more you'll become like me. Power? What power? Eve should know me well. Uh-oh, flashback. It's so bright. You know what that is, Eve? Or you know what that is, Aya? That's a strand of Eve's hair that is phasing in and out of her face because the PlayStation CPU can't decide exactly where to draw those polygons. Um, but I really like that aesthetic, and I kind of like I know it's wrong, but I kind of like the weird glitchiness of the character models and the way they wiggle around. It's an aesthetic that is ripe for being developed into weird glitchy ways in modern spaces, I think. Although it also seems like that might be something that might be difficult to do on purpose. I wish I had, a couple years ago I did some digging around and found some actual technical reasons why that worked the way it did. Um, but I can't remember what they are now. I think there was like a NeoGAF thread where some people that were experts on the PlayStation processor architecture stuff could actually went into detail about why it worked the way it did. But um, I just remember something about it having. I know the PlayStation didn't have a proper Z buffer or whatever, and then it also had, like I said, that weird rounding error when it was drawing textures onto stuff that made them wiggle around all the time. It just couldn't consistently put them in the same place. Which is a weird effect, but I think it's preferable to just the infinite fog of the Nintendo 64 and just how fucking dreary and brown all those games looked. Got something on your eye there, bud. I'm trying to remember if this has some kind of yeah. I'm trying to remember if there's I don't think so. Got some ammo, that's good. I'm trying to remember if there was some kind of timed button presses kind of stuff like Mario Paper Mario style, but I don't think so. Oop, toasty. I think I can inspect these guys, can't I? Thought I could. Look at that. Mirror technology. Also, these chairs are huge. I think there's a key in one of these lockers. Some medicine, that's good. Oh. You're still alive. Hold on, let me call the paramedics. Melissa. She's a monster. It's not a Melissa, it's a monster. Man, those are some pretty good burn up looking bodies. They're creeping me out a little bit. I think that this game is a success as an RPG, but I think it's kind of a failure as a horror game just because turn-based combat really isn't that scary, even when you're fighting a giant dinosaur skeleton, which really shouldn't have any mitochondria, and I'm not sure why. I'm not sure what the in-game explanation for Eve's ability to corrupt the giant Tyrannosaurus Rex skeleton was, but I guess you don't need any more explanation than that's pretty fucking dope. I was just getting ready. He was so hyped up and so into his prep time that he didn't even realize that the entire audience had been set on fire. Also, yep. Probably should have let him stay here where he was safe. Ammo +6. But I think eventually you get access to... can't open any more of these, huh? Maybe I'm on the wrong side. You get like shotguns and assault rifles that all have different bonuses, and then there's like a whole... there's a whole slew of weapon mods that you can like stack and upgrade, I think. I also think there's something different that happens if you do go and check in with your backup. Maybe you can just save the game and get some ammo. I'm not 100% sure. Ah! What's this key? Was that phone a save point? Okay. I'm going to notify the department. I think they're all outside. Saving. Man, I have enough slots in my memory card. I feel like this game took up a ton of space, but I could be wrong about that. This was like a 2-slotter. Ah! Hot, hot, help, help. I'm gonna have to fight this parrot now. Or is he saying what the guy was saying? I thought that parrot turned into a monster. Maybe not yet. Gonna be a spooky thing in this curtain.
That's how Halloween games do, man.
Ah!
Woo, it was me. I was hiding in the curtain.
Hey, what's up, Mike?
Well, just saw your message. Parasite Eve is a real cool game.
It is a really cool game.
Thought I'd see what you were doing.
I'm playing the beginning of Parasite Eve.
I can see that now, actually.
It's been a very long time since I played this game, so I don't really remember exactly what I'm supposed to do or where I'm supposed to go, but...
Yeah, it's not that complicated for the most part. And yeah, I really like this game. This is a super tight PS1 RPG.
Yeah. It's like 20 hours, right? It's like pretty short.
I'd say not even.
Not even.
Maybe like 15, 15 to 20, depends on how you are. The only thing is you should never ever in your life attempt to do like the secret Chrysler building dungeon.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a huge pile of bullshit. I did it once because I'm stupid.
It's all like just grinding, right, to get better.
It's just endless.
And, yeah.
Is it
99 floors? Is that what it was? It was something crazy.
Something like along those lines. And every 10 floors there's a boss, and the floors are not randomly generated, but they're taken from a random selection.
Yeah.
And you play them in a kind of quasi, like the camera angles change every time you change sections.
Yeah.
So like you have to. I actually have the guidebook for this game. I bought my copy of Parasite Eve from one
From who? I lost Mike. Also, there's been some chat. Poverty Game Night says Mega Man Legends looks real good up-res. I agree with that. That is for sure true. Y Signal says I freaking love this game. It's not outright scary, but I like the overall vibe. Yeah, for sure. So while I was talking, I looked it up. Apparently, the novel has since been translated into English. So maybe I'll take a look at that. That might be some good October reading.
But the guidebook for Parasite Eve?
No. Well, this is a sequel to a Japanese horror novel.
Sorry. I think I must have missed. I must have not heard what you said there.
Yeah, you roboted for a minute and disappeared. So I missed you. You said you bought this from somebody.
I bought it from Andy Keener.
Oh, okay.
So he sent along the guidebook with it, and I was saying like. It's such bullshit that the guidebook can't even tell you what floor you're on, but it'll say, well, if the first thing you see is like a 4-way crossing, then it's one of these 8 maps. But if the next thing you see is like a left turn, then that means it's probably this particular one. And so like every floor you go through this crazy algorithm, like trying to figure out, okay, which one of these fucking maps am I on? Anyway, it's terrible, and it should not detract from what is a really cool like experimental PS1 horror RPG.
Yeah. Did you play the second one?
Not so far. I believe I also have Andy Keener's copy of Parasite Eve 2, but I've never really had the guts to play it because I've heard it's not so great.
Okay, yeah, I skipped the second one, and there's also that PSP game that also got kind of mediocre reviews when that came out.
Yeah, plus that one's super creepy and like, creepy objectifying.
Is it?
Your clothes get blasted off as you're playing.
Nice.
Real Japan-ass game. I mean, I guess it's a real Japan-ass game.
Look at this parrot.
Oh, is that... I can't remember if that parrot does something or not. Oh, it just attacks you. Okay, yeah.
It just attacks me. I thought there was a cutscene when the parrot morphed the first time, but I guess I was wrong about that.
I can't... Oh, no, there's a cutscene when it's a rat.
Yeah.
Did you see the rat cutscene?
Yeah,
no, that's all you get. Sorry.
Okay.
That and a bunch of opera goers getting lit on fire.
Yeah. All the bosses, I think, right, have...
I don't know if they all do, but a lot of them do.
These doors
I can't believe they never made another game that uses this mechanic. Like this kind of like semi-real-time combat thing with like ranged weapons. And
yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous because your pistol has a range of 8 feet, but it's still fun.
Yeah, I was talking about that before you joined me, but I actually prefer this to like what like Knights of the Old Republic or Mass Effect did, just the first one, where like it would, or even what the hell was that Obsidian spy Alpha Protocol?
Oh,
those games all had like invisible dice rolls that were going on in the background, but they like, sort of pretended like you were in control of where you were aiming. And I actually prefer like the way this game does it, where it's just like this is your range and this is where you're effective. And
Valkyria Chronicles does the same thing. It doesn't really bother me. I mean, as long as you accept that they're all abstract systems, I can kind of live with them. I think this one's the most fun because it involves you like running around dodging attacks, but then also trying to make sure that you stay within range so that you can counterattack.
These guys are pretty easy to dodge. Also, this game has a really good soundtrack, which I did not fully appreciate. 1998 me did not appreciate how good this soundtrack was.
It's very good. The one thing that I don't like is the synth voice that you hear all the time, which it gets to be a bit much sometimes.
Yeah, the opera singing stuff.
Yes, but I mean, mostly it's got some cool electro, but mostly I just love the police station theme.
Mm-hmm.
Which is called Out of Phase. I don't know if you've gotten to that part.
No,
I can't remember the first. I think the first time you hear it is on the start of day 2.
Yeah, I'm still exploring the opera house. Uh-oh. But the battle music's pretty good too. It's like super chill. So I can't remember her name, but the woman that did the soundtrack for this has done a bunch of...
Is that Yoko Shimomura?
I think so, yeah. That sounds about right.
She's done all sorts of cool music.
She did the Kingdom Hearts music. I know
did
that.
she?
Yeah. But she's done a whole bunch
I take it back.
She's done a whole bunch of other really good stuff.
Kingdom Hearts is a weird thing, man.
Yeah. I played the first two.
Yeah?
Yep.
I played the first one about 2/3 of the way through before getting a little discouraged with it.
Yeah.
The level design was just too shitty.
Mm-hmm. The level design in both of those games is very, very bad. It's just like everything is super bland, and it's hard to figure out where the fuck you're supposed to go.
Yeah. Crazy concept, and it's so weird to see how far out it got with time. Like,
yeah. They are also both of those games are way too long for the complexity of the combat system. Like the combat just wears out its welcome way before you finish the game. There we go.
Not like Parasite Eve, which is cool and short.
Yeah. I also have a much deeper appreciation for like 15 to 20 hour RPGs now than I did back then.
Yeah. And this one's just like all killer, you know? Like, there's not a lot of fluff in there. I don't know, you're always going from place to place, you're seeing new stuff. Some of the regions are maybe, you know, they're a little big in that sort of, it's an RPG and we need to have random encounters kind of way, but compared to any other game from this vintage, you spend so much less time just kind of running on the treadmill.
Mm-hmm. I guess I can't use you have to go to the weapons table to do the weapon upgrade stuff, right?
I believe so.
Also, it's obvious that I can go through here, but I don't know if I can. That's odd. This wall looks like it's about to crumble. Oh, there we go. I was also talking before you joined me that like there's a really great thing that they. No, I can put some stuff in here. There's a really great thing that they do where you can. I don't need to put anything in there now. There's a really great thing they do where, like, at the beginning of the game, Aya's like weird and awkward because she's on a date, she's not used to it, and then when she gets her gun out, she just like
super tough and like cool and ready to go.
Chains, and she's just like she's in this really nice dress, but she's crawling around because she's just a cop. It's like a really subtle bit of characterization that only comes through in the animations, but yeah, it's really good.
Yep, just pretend that none of the other games ever happened, then you'll be able to enjoy the characters. Because the other guy, like the Maeda, I think is his name. He's like the Japanese scientist guy who explains to you that. I mean, do we want to spoil what the premise of this game is? Because the premise is pretty bad shit.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned evil mitochondria. So.
The mitochondria are revolting against their human oppressors, and that guy apparently he's fine and just kind of like awkward and a little bit silly in this game, but he turns into a super sleazeball in one of the later, I think in 3. Yeah, it's pretty gross.
I don't know why Japan, so many Japanese games have to have that character, but it's really off-putting for me.
I don't know. From what I've heard, the reason why Japanese anime and games have kind of fallen into this weird, like, tailspin is because they just cater super hard to one niche market. And so, like, only the people who are way into that stuff still like it, but they buy so much of it that it's still kind of profitable. I don't know. It's like they got
it's
like
worth it just 50... to put the weird like shower peeping scene into the game because it'll cater to the group that likes that.
It's like you'll never sell 5 million copies of your game, but you're guaranteed to sell like 100,000 or something, and so they can keep making shitty, gross stuff. Anyway, well, it's funny. I mean,
the reason I mentioned it is because I'm playing Danganronpa 3, and Danganronpa 2.
Some of that in there.
Well, actually, the third one has been pretty good about that, and I was given an opportunity to do the peeping at the girls, the
skeevy thing.
But they actually gave me the option to opt out, which I took, which was pretty cool.
Oh, neat.
And also, but Danganronpa 2 was not optional, and there was also just a character that was just the same, just like constantly in your face.
Macking on the ladies.
It really sucks. Actually, Danganronpa 3 has a woman who's like obsessed with sex, and it's really refreshing and weird, and like the way that they sort of turn that trope on its head for her. She's also a total she's a huge asshole, but she's kind of charming because of it, and I've been really enjoying that character quite a bit. Getting hot.
At your mitochondria, trying to light you on fire.
I don't know if you can see it in the stream or not, but the reflection of Aya is like a total fucking monstrosity because of the
in the mirror.
Yeah. Because of how screwed up the the PlayStation was at drawing polygon vertices and stuff.
It's not super obvious to me on the window that I'm watching on because the dress is black, so
Yeah.
there's just a big chunk of her body that's kind of there's nothing to see.
There is a definite downside to playing PlayStation games in high resolution mode, but there's an upside too.
I want to look at this again because like everything that is happening in the foreground is actually kind of smooth.
Mm-hmm.
There you go, nice boss transformation scene for you.
I'm glad I went and saved.
I don't think this is a very hard boss. Property Game Night says, I haven't read the novel, but I did see the movie based on it, and that's weird. And YSalo says, I love the battle music. We do too.
For sure.
Music is good.
There's like a manga, I think. There's a couple of different comic... Whoa, I have to kind of like stay in the middle of that. Oh, she's too far away. And I think there's a couple of movies, maybe. I don't know if they're anime or actual live-action horror films, but... Oh, shit, I should have healed. I'm gonna die.
Good thing you saved.
Yeah. Oh, maybe not. The secret is not to do anything. How do I... There we go. Also, so since this is a PlayStation game with analog stick support before they really figured out how to do that stuff right, you like it's the analog is all or nothing.
Okay.
So like in most modern games, like I use the analog stick for character movement, and then I use the D-pad to navigate menus, but that's just not an option in this game.
So you can run really fast in whatever direction you want.
Right. Well, no, it has analog movement. Like you can walk if you move the stick, but you can't use the D-pad in the menu screens.
Okay.
So like I go into the menu and then I move my hand down to the D-pad and then it doesn't do anything.
It doesn't do anything.
I have to go back to the analog stick. Mitochondria, what are you saying? I don't understand you. Nobody really understands the plot to this game, I don't think.
It's not that weird. The mitochondria, they're mad.
They don't have agency. That doesn't make any sense.
That's what you think.
They're just
this is the whole point of the game.
What's the word? They're organelles, right? Is what they call the little bits and pieces inside your cells or whatever.
The wrong person, I want to say.
Okay. I think that's what they're called. They're just a thing that converts food into energy, right?
Aren't we all, though?
Yeah. Mostly poop for me, I think.
You get right down to it.
Yeah. Oh no. Mitochondria to be free. It's a plot so ridiculous that it works.
It's real good. It's got, I don't know, there was something different about anime in like, I don't know if it was the 90s or the 80s, but when they could do crazy shit like this and just be ridiculous, and it was just fun.
Yeah.
And I feel like we've kind of lost that. But I haven't watched a lot of recent anime because I've kind of grossed out by most of what I've seen.
Yeah.
You know what also is really good anime is XCOM. Quality anime happening over here.
Uh-huh. Are you playing XCOM right now?
I am. I'm finishing up my run for the day.
How's it going? Is everything smoothed out now?
Well, so yeah, I mean, I definitely turned the corner. There's a big corner that you hit at any XCOM campaign where all of a sudden just like, okay, yeah, I got this. You go, and I spent a lot of time in that scrambling mode where it was like, at this point, if I make one really stupid move, my game is over. And I was in that place for, I want to say, like 10 hours. Like, it was super intense.
Yeah.
And then when you get through that, and eventually you kind of realize, like, you got the good armor, and you're like, oh, I can take a hit or two. And your squad mates do enough damage that, you can take out most of the bad guys relatively easily. And so then, like, I went through, like, I don't know, the last 5 or 6 hours of this campaign. It's just been like, yeah, okay, I guess I got this. Pretty easy. That's and then tonight, all of a sudden, it ratcheted up, like, another degree of difficulty. And, like, they brought out a couple more tough enemies. And I had a mission go bad, and I lost a couple of people, including myself, which is, that always stings.
At this point, MC Banjo Mike Jr. to put in the game now.
Have you been watching the Giant Bomb?
I have been watching
XCOM.
the Giant Bomb. I've been enjoying it a great deal.
It's been real good. the many faces of Dan Reichert. Rand Dykert, quote unquote Dan Reichert, Dave Reichert. Yeah, no, I've been real happy with that series.
Did you look at the comment section of the one where he made that swap? Like, people were so fucking mad about that. There was like 800 comments. It's the most comments I've ever seen on a Giant Bomb video. It was
Really?
It was just completely bonkers. Yeah.
I mean, I think Dave Lang at this point is practically a Giant Bomb person.
Yeah.
With all the stuff that he's been involved in, so.
To me, it seemed like something he'd done. It was just like all in good fun and a silly thing, but people were really upset about it.
I'm surprised that people got really upset over it. I thought it was brilliant. I thought that, like, Dan is finding a way to inject some kind of real personality and make some kind of stupid decisions, but in the name of the story of the game that they're playing. And because, like, Alex knows what he's doing, and when he plays, it's just like, okay, now it's going to be an hour of competent XCOM undoing all the mistakes of those other two people.
Yeah.
But it's kind of dull compared to when Dan and Abby are running the show.
It's fun to watch Abby learn how to play XCOM. Yeah,
and I think I just like Abby. I find that she's really entertaining, and she's got a I don't know, her background in theater she does all sorts of cool, fun improvisation stuff.
Mm-hmm. She has really great chemistry with Vinny, although I feel like pretty much everybody.
Vinny could work with anyone, right?
But yeah, she's been a really good addition to the team.
Yeah, at this point, I watch at least a little bit of everything that Giant Bomb East puts out.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't always watch everything, but I like to at least like
check in on it.
Right. I like to, even if I just watch like 5 to 10 minutes of a quick look, like I feel like I have a pretty good idea of what a video game is about at that point.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's much up here except for that fight.
So of all the people that I've made for my custom campaign, most of us are dead. But Joe has managed to. He's
still hanging in there.
He's managed to become really good by doing almost no missions. I just keep sending him.
I mean, you keep him on the bench, he'll stay alive. That's for sure.
I keep sending him out on covert ops where he doesn't have to fight for the most part, and so he's just kind of really slowly making his way up through the ranks. And I recently beat the Chosen Hunter, and he's got this just amazing kick-ass sniper rifle, and I gave it to Joe, and he just started demolishing everything left and right last mission.
That's cool.
I tried giving him a running gun. I wonder. I've never had a sniper with running gun before.
Is that a thing you can do in that game?
In this game, you can kind of shop for abilities, and every soldier has a couple of abilities from other classes that show up and that they can have access to, but they're picked from a random pool, so you kind of never know. Like I don't know if you played XCOM 2 at all.
Yeah, I played like 10 hours of it, and then I ran into that bug. Remember?
Right.
Where, like,
so one of the most important things in the game is that enemies have armor that soaks up damage, and you have to shred the armor, and so you always want to have heavy weapons guys on your team because they have the ability called Shredder, which means that anytime they shoot someone, it destroys part of their armor.
I think was that it was in XCOM 1 too, right?
Not exactly. In XCOM 1, there was something called a Shredder Rocket, which you could get, but that was an optional upgrade. Whereas, this is technically optional, but you'd be crazy not to take it. Anyway, so your heavies get this ability. Unfortunately, almost none of my other soldiers have had the option to tack that onto their ability set, and it would really help. I think it's one of the reasons why I might wind up kind of benching a bunch of these guys for like the later missions, but we'll see.
These frogs. I wish there were more enemy transformation FMVs. I want to know how these frogs got to this point. Actually, I don't want to know how these frogs got into
you want the backstory on them?
Yeah.
I don't find frogs in a sewer that hard to believe, right? It's wet.
I mean, I guess, but it's usually pretty gross down there.
They're frogs.
Yeah,
they ain't that picky.
I mean, so when there's a lot of pollution in the environment, frogs are one of the first species to show that because they absorb so much water through their skin. So
I see.
Frogs wouldn't want to be swimming around in poop and peep because I guess they would be mostly poop and peep at a certain point.
Right. Okay.
Maybe those frogs aren't. Their mitochondria hasn't decided to free itself from its bonds, but they just look like that from hanging out in the sewer all the time. My body's getting hot again.
Oh no. Take a cool shower.
They just burn, right?
Well, all those folks in the intro scene, that's what happened to them.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you got to treat your mitochondria right.
Give them lots of good food to turn into ATP.
Is that what they become?
I think so.
Adeno triphosphate?
Something like that, yeah.
I'm just going to move out of range of my rotor for a second.
Okay. Some time to think and some time to evolve. I feel like I remember the translation in this game being a little better than it has been thus far.
It was a different time.
Yeah.
The translation in Final Fantasy VII was famously pretty bad.
It's true. This game was only like a year after that. And then it's like another year or two later, we got the Vagrant story, which is one of the best translations I've ever read. Of course, we also got this Chrono Cross translation that same year, and that's... The writing is all very good, but the dialects make that just fucking impossible to play.
Oh, the fucking dialectizers making partial talk all the time.
Ugh. Oh no! I think alligators are probably more scary with teeth, honestly, than electrical powers, but...
I don't know, this one's pretty cool. I like this boss a lot. What does he have, like a split mouth?
I think so. Can I shoot? Can I target different areas? Okay.
You shoot his tail.
Am I supposed
There
to
are
shoot
two
his
targets.
tail?
I don't remember. It's possible that the tail is the actual weak point. I don't know. Try some things.
I will. I wish I could have saved before I... Doing 9 damage. Well, I played enough Dark Souls. If I shoot the tail enough right, I get a special secret weapon.
That's right, you get your sword.
Okay, yeah. So his head only takes 1 shot at a time, but his tail takes 9. Ah! Leave me alone. Damn. Better heal. Hang on my next turn.
What are they up to on the map here? I got an acid grenade. It's pretty nice. That's for me.
Oh, am I out of ammo? What's happening? Oh, okay. I think I did enough damage. He's either transforming or dying.
I just see a black screen right now.
Whoa. Okay, yeah, he's got like a big fire beam coming out of his face now. Can I not attack his tail anymore? Is that what's happening? Okay.
But you're also doing reasonable damage to the face at this point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a really cool game. Like I tend to fire it up like in the winter time since it's set in the end of December.
Christmas or New Year's Eve.
Yeah. It's just nice because you can kind of polish it off in a week or so. You could actually play like on a day-to-day basis if you really wanted to. Because it takes place over 6 days, I think.
Something like that, yeah.
If you don't do the horrible 7th day tower thing. It's so bad. Oh my god, it's so bad.
Parasite powers have evolved. Now I have slow. And I got a vest.
You got a slow vest?
Yeah. Just tell me what you want, Eve. I don't know why some of the words in this game are all caps, and I'm not 100% sure why.
It's for emphasis.
Mm-hmm. A scene of complete chaos. Correct?
What do you think I should do? Should I upgrade my Psi Lab so I can have train 2 Psi operatives at once?
I don't know. Are Psi operatives good?
Pretty cool. They're super cool, but you basically have to cook them for a long time. you stick them in this place and it takes like 2 months of game time, and then they can learn like every ability that their class has if you just leave them long enough in there. I should, because the sooner you do this, the better your psyops get.
Christmas Eve of all nights. Dun dun dun.
Do they know it's Christmas at all? Do mitochondria celebrate Christmas? Maybe they're Jewish.
I like that my police chief just punched this reporter in the back of his neck. Also, I don't think
is it the chief or is your partner?
Is it? I don't remember. I haven't, like I said, I haven't played this game probably since I finished it in 1990.
Right, but is it Danny Glover?
Is it? I'll take your word for it.
No, I'm not saying it actually is, but is it the guy who looks like Danny Glover?
Yeah. His nose is doing crazy things.
Yeah, was that the Z buffering?
Yeah.
It was,
Yeah, I don't think she wasn't the only survivor, because there were people that ran out of the... There were people that ran out of Carnegie Hall, like when the people first starting on fire, I think.
Hmm.
Is that the in thing right now?
Running out of Carnegie Hall?
No, the opera. You want to know why I went to the opera.
Oh.
Instinct. Shouldn't you be with your son? That's right, his name is Daniel.
I read a Let's Play for this game that just subbed in lines from like Lethal Weapon for everything that guy said, and I thought it was pretty funny about 10 years ago. I hope that it's still funny now, but it's real hard to go back to old Let's Plays because they tend to be filled with lots of humor that's just kind of offensive now.
Mm-hmm. That's true of like pretty much anything from pop culture as it evolves. Symbiosis.
Yeah, but Let's Plays, from 10 years ago, that was already kind of a rough space.
Yeah, the internet was it could be a little rough on all fronts. Sleep? Oh well. She's asleep, but her eyes are still open.
You never slept that way?
Apparently I did when I was a kid. My mom said she
go.
used to come in and to check on me and my eyes would be open.
That's pretty creepy.
Yeah,
you
I
should
guess
probably
that was
not make
pretty
fun of her.
It all started with this incident. A nightmare for all.
I like the Christmas wrap-up.
It was pure terror, but... It was also 6 days filled with familiar memories.
That's completely ridiculous. They're not good memories. Like, what is she...
This is a real good Statue of Liberty, too. Poverty Game Night says, between this and Police Knots, there was a surprising amount of Danny Glover on PlayStation 1.
Yeah, he must have had his fans.
I mean, me. For sure. Where's my... There we go.
My understanding was that he was too old for this shit.
Mm-hmm. That's why they didn't use him as a character model in the game. Motion capture. I'm too old for that shit.
I think this might... I don't know if there's motion capture in this game. You might be looking at nothing but hand animation.
Yeah. This is definitely before the days of mocap. I actually really wish that this and Vagrant Story would get a proper remaster, remake, whatever. I wish that instead of investing all that money in that fucking disastrous Final Fantasy VII remake, that they had just went and picked some of these other games that they put out and just done a bunch of smaller, cheaper remakes.
I don't know how cheap it would be, because if you're making a 15-hour game where no environments are reused basically ever, like...
Well, I mean, even if they did, like, they put out that Final Fantasy VII remaster thing where they put higher res backgrounds and stuff, like, even if they did something like that for this...
Yeah, but that was something they already had lying around.
Well, it's
That was just
I mean, I guess it depends on if they still have higher resolution versions of these backgrounds and stuff. But
no, but that was just the PC port. Like I played that version of Final Fantasy VII in like 2000.
was it? I thought there was a version where they put a little more into it, but maybe I'm wrong about that. Like you can actually see in these backgrounds. I don't know if it's coming through in the screen in the stream, but like you can see the grid pattern where like what have they used to make them smaller shows up, like the way that
make them smaller.
like when they shrunk the resolution of the backgrounds.
The compression?
It must be the compression like overlaid some kind of weird grid pattern over everything because it really stands out on the desk on the bottom right. I don't know what would do that actually. ESP, huh? Well, I'm not buying it.
ESP, huh?
I mean, an opera singer transformed into a monster and then started a whole bunch of people on fire with her voice, so...
Oh yeah, I'm not into that at all.
Better ask Baker for a better sidearm. Still hard to believe, but we can't deny all those deaths. We're going to go all out to solve this case. Make sure you're well equipped. Come back later. I will, Baker. All right, I'm gonna go down and screw around with the thing and maybe. Isn't there
Called
like
night.
yeah? I think you get access to a car or something, right? Where you can like pick which location.
There's a map where you can kind of move around,
Yeah.
but there's only a few options on most days.
How are we supposed to deal with something like that? There's the PlayStation music too. I'm not buying it.
All right, I've uncovered the mission for the last chosen assault. Once I do that, there won't be any left.
Are chosen good or bad?
The chosen are the 3 new super enemies that are trying to kill you.
Ah,
So, definitely not my friends.
all right. Better put on your vest too. Can't be too careful. At last, it's mine. Uh-oh, what's he doing in there? My inventory is full. I need to find a box someplace.
I can't remember if yeah, I think you can store stuff in the police station downstairs. No,
Maybe.
been a while.
Defense, PE energy, critical. Change weapon. Because I don't really need this club, say. Can I just discard stuff? I could just throw this club away. There we go. Oh, won't let me.
When are you ever going to use a club?
Well, let me throw it away. I can throw this old pistol away, though. Can you... I can't remember... You can pull the mods off the old weapons, right?
I do not recall
Okay. I'm gonna go
how
down
it works.
to the... I'll
It's
go down
been a
to the
while.
basement and see.
It hasn't been that long. I guess I played this like maybe 5 or 6 years ago.
Kind of wish I had a map. Oh, man. Whew.
What is it?
Nothing. Wayne's face is a fucking disaster. Shotgun? Rocket launcher? Man, what the fuck happened to you, Wayne?
I don't know,
He's
man.
not even- he's
PS1
not
games
here,
always looked like this.
He's not here, and he's already having his mitochondria revolt against him. Idiots like you are the reason why guns won't disappear from this country. 1998 anti-gun talk.
Well, it is Japanese.
It's all Wayne's fault.
Gotta kid out my squad here for a mission, or we might run into an invisible assassin. Which at this point is not really even a stressful concept.
What's that? Oh, fighting those guys?
The invisible assassin is not a real big deal.
Let's see here.
Oh shit, I'm out of Illyrium.
Okay, there we go.
That's bad.
Put this club in storage. Oh, well, let me get rid of the club. And I'll put this pistol in here too. Okay, here we go. This way. Nope, it won't let me do any tuning yet.
You might have to wait until later to unlock that option.
All right, let's see what this guy's got for me. This is the most powerful gun I can allow you to have. It's an M16. Which gun? Okay, so here he's gonna let me do some modification now. All right, just wait here. There we go. I think he'll add a slot, and then I can put my specials in there. Cops own guns for protection. Don't let the guns own you.
Oh man, that's deep.
You can use your tool to tune up your guns. There's no music playing here. Is that normal?
I thought you always had that one song in the police station that I think is really good.
Yeah, it disappeared when I left the second floor. You can never have too much firepower.
Well, at this point, I don't know whether or not it's supposed to be there.
Let's see. I got no junk on me right now.
What are you going to do with all that junk?
I don't think I need these keys anymore, do I? Alright, let's see here. I don't want to. I do want to change weapon, actually. I want to equip my M16. Let's see here. Offense up. We'll put it all in that M16. Fuck it. Well, you're melting, Torres. Okay. And then this is the weapon box. Yep. Oh, right, okay, then you can use the item to move stuff from one gun to the other. That's right.
Yeah. I think this game sort of involves like feeding guns to other guns to make them better. It's one of those things where if you do New Game Plus 2 or 3 times, then you start to have some really insanely good weapons.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a cool ass game.
For sure. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna just go check out one more area real quick. I'm gonna shut this down. Guy with the dogs. I think I have to kill those dogs later in the game, right?
I mean, probably. There's definitely a sequence that takes place in the police station with enemies.
It's baby Hugh Hefner.
What now?
I don't know, this little kid. I guess he's just wearing a red coat, has some red basketball shorts, but... that's Ben's, or Daniel's kid. He's got a Band-Aid over his nose.
Gotta see this, I can't remember. That's Daniel's kid, okay. Ben. Oh man.
Family drama.
Danny Glover's being a bad dad. Don't be a bad dad, Danny Glover. Man, I'm so happy I rescued Denton. He got
JC
left behind on him. Was that?
JC Denton?
No,
Oh.
Denton Fraze. He got left behind on a mission like months ago. And I was like, well, are they ever going to give me the option to rescue him? And they finally did after a long, long time.
Oh, the only place I can go is back to Carnegie Hall. I probably have to talk to people in the police station to unlock my next...
I can't remember... I don't remember at all what the story progression is for this.
No.
There's only so many options. I think Carnegie Hall, they probably won't be able to get inside, so...
What a case to have on Christmas, huh?
Giant room full of people all spontaneously lighting on fire.
It's pretty bad.
I'd say there's no better time of year for it. Alright, I think I'm too tired to make good decisions in this mission, so I'm going to stop playing XCOM.
Okay. I'm going to go save and then turn this off. I actually might play some more of this, though.
It's a great game.
Yeah.
You could run the whole thing in not very long.
Unfortunately, I don't think I can get it done and also get Danganronpa 3 done and time for Destiny 2.
Yes.
Which
I don't know, Danganronpa is probably longish.
Yeah, I played like 20 hours of it and I'm only into the third class trial, so...
Wow. Third?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in the one that I did, you go through something like 8 class trials.
Yeah, I believe there's 7 in this game. I don't know. I just
I've actually, just been really getting into that Phoenix Wright 6 on my phone, and I'm enjoying it.
Are you?
Yeah, finished the first case yesterday, I want to say. Looks pretty good. It's giving me those Phoenix Wright feels. Crazy witnesses and unmasking the truth and not being able to figure out how you're supposed to tell the game, the thing you want to tell it, when it's super obvious to you.
Yeah. That's one thing that actually Danganronpa does pretty good, I think, in its class trial sequences. It's pretty easy to apply actual logic to the way that their trials play out. It's a little easier to give the game what it wants. And
I guess, yeah. I think I do remember there being moments when I was frustrated, but
yeah. There's times where I've had to look stuff up for that as well. But there are things in Phoenix Wright where I just would go through every item in my inventory and couldn't figure out what the fuck the game. I had the whole thing figured out, but I couldn't figure out how to tell the game that I had it all figured out.
It wouldn't be Phoenix Wright without it.
Yeah. Anyway, that's Parasite Eve. That game's still pretty good. I don't know that it's all that scary, but that PlayStation music is pretty
moody.
Good. Yeah, it has a mood. Like I said, it's tough for anything with turn-based combat to actually be scary. But all right,
it's more of a mood thing. Yeah, you're wandering around creepy spot.
Yeah, good music. I kind of want to look up the soundtrack for this, and it would appeal more to my sensibilities now than it would have to 1998 me. But anyway. Good night. I'll be back tomorrow. Actually, tomorrow we have Genesis stuff, and I think Joe's going to stream some Friday the 13th. So, yeah. Pa pa pa.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.